Before I talk about the film, I should probably point out that I grew up in Tasmania, which is basically the island state of Australia. And it's very cold, it's down on the bottom of the earth, and it reminds me a lot of Maine in Stephen King's novels and that. I don't know how similar it really is, but just I always felt like his stories were sort of based around a town like I grew up in. So it never snowed there. I never saw snow really until I left Tasmania, but I know it just feels like my hometown, Georgetown, to a degree. Some of his films, especially the town in Storm of the Century, even though I never saw snow, it never snowed there. I always kind of wanted it to snow, but we always had cold and frost and hail and fog, but we never actually had snow. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Well, this has become a bit of an annual tradition for me. Every year, pretty much in winter at some point, I watch a few films. Storm of the Century is usually the first one. I don't know what it is about the idea of a community being trapped by a storm and people sort of having to huddle together in, a town hall, and just the idea of communities and all under threat, like communal horror, communal threat, communal people working together. Something about that I always like in films, and too many horror films ends up just being people separated off one at a time, or sort of alone in an environment where they are being threatened or attacked or are out of control. I find it far more fascinating to have a community or a group of people having to deal with a problem. And this certainly is that sort of film. It starts off just with people preparing because they know a big storm's coming. And it's not just the storm that comes. It's Andre Benoit, I think his name was. Renault. Oh God, I forgot his name. I've seen this film. I've seen this miniseries. It's a three-part miniseries, I think. I've watched it so many times that I don't think about it anymore, and I realise that I should have confirmed a few little things before I started doing my review. But yeah, it spends a lot of time setting up this character who comes into the town. He kills poor Martha Clarendon, and that's just to get attention and to get himself brought into the town. He gets taken into the police station, locked up. The rest of the town, he sets it up so he has to be walked through the main store, which the sheriff owns, because everyone's there collecting, food and everything before they sort of go home and wait the storm out. Because they have these storms every few years, and this is one of the big ones. They call it the Storm of the Century, of course. And things start to go wrong. People start to go missing. People start to kill themselves. People start to kill each other. And all of this seems to be in response to this man saying, "Give me what I want and I'll go away." What does he want? He wants a child. He wants the town basically to give him a child to raise as his own, because he is dying. He's an ancient being, but he's dying. He has a long time by our standards, but he's dying by his standards. And he wants someone to teach, to basically take over his role. Now, how he makes this human child immortal and like him, I'm not sure. They don't explain that, but it does appear to happen. But the sheriff, of course, has a huge problem with this. Now, this is not the bulk of the show. The bulk of the show really is people being stuck in this blizzard and things happening, and people slowly realising that it's all centred around this guy, and that it's affecting the children. The children start to behave strangely, and everyone's singing "I'm a Little Teapot" because he's basically playing them like puppets. And it takes a while for people to really realise what's happening, and it's not until the children all become comatose that he basically reveals that he has them in another dream state, and that he will kill them he'll kill all of them if they don't give him one of them. So they don't really have much of a choice, but they do choose to do it. The sheriff is opposed to it, and he tries to opt out and say, well, fine, if you choose to give one of your children to save the other children, fine, but my child is not involved. Unfortunately, his wife has other ideas, and she says, no, we're part of this community. We're not gonna check out now. So he keeps fighting, but she puts her child up. She picks a stone. They all have to pick a stone and she picks the black stone. And I think he knew it was going to be his child. He knew this guy wanted his child. He believed it was set up that he wanted his child and it was always going to be his child. But, of course, the town decides that we can live with giving one of the children away to live with this evil being rather than kill the others and then have to live with each other and live with the realisation of that. And one of the more interesting things in the show is that he knows everything about everyone. He portrays himself as some sort of, he's more like the devil, but he seems to know everyone's secrets, and it is interesting to see everyone's secrets being brought out and all that. And that continues right up to the very end. But they give him the child, he leaves, and of course the sheriff can't stay in the town. It does destroy all the people in the town because they can't live with what they did. And some people kill themselves, some people get sick, some people leave. He breaks up with his wife, he moves away, and he does stumble across an aging, I've forgotten his name, it's a French name, and he does see his son who's grown, and he has monstrous teeth, just like his new father. He's now his father, and he does chase, but he doesn't catch them. He doesn't find them, and he sort of realizes that he has lost his son because his son has really become a being just like this guy, and he's going to replace him in whatever role he served on Earth. So it's an interesting play. The part that I like more is the actual town sort of dealing with the storm and dealing with the creature. Once we get into the debate about giving up the child and focusing on that, I find it's a bit more disturbing. But either way, it's just, I like the atmosphere of it. I like the length of it. You really get time to spend with the characters, and it's just now a winter tradition. I watch it every year, and I thought I should do a review since I do love it. And I love Stephen King. I've always loved his work, and I've sort of been having a bit of a Stephen King weekend over the last weekend and the next few days, watching films I haven't watched in years, that I saw and loved but can't remember, or ones that I watched once and really can't remember. And this is one I watch every year, and I obviously remember, but I just want to do a review. It is good, but like most Stephen King stories, it's a bit too complicated, a bit too much happens. I find he sort of gives us a great premise, and then he always gets bored of it and has to do more. And sometimes I'd be happier if he did a bit less. Like some of his earlier miniseries and stories like Salem's Lot and The Shining are simpler ideas. And some of his newer films and newer stories, I find, like I said, he seems to be getting bored and he overcomplicates things. I think they're still kind of brilliant, but I find myself going on too many journeys. But yeah, that's just a general sort of opinion of Stephen King. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Is this a classic? Do you watch this regularly? I know some people have their favourite horror movies and their favourite sort of films that they watch some people watch the Halloween films, the Friday the 13th films all the time. But this is more of a seasonal thing. I need to be in the mood for it. I need to be in winter to watch it and feel like I'm in the town, basically. But yeah, I'm going to go. Thanks. Bye.